What's up, everybody? It's 2021. Are you ready to start off the new year right? I'm ready to start off the new year right. Yeah.
Hey man, I think the carpet is flooding.
Oh, So I was all excited this morning to come in. I literally turned all the lights on in the studio. My nephew Nick here was kind of doing his morning writing and whatnot. I really wanted to call him in. It's January 3rd today, right? January 4th.
It's January
4th,
yeah.
sorry. But it's the first work day back from winter break. And I was really, really excited to come in here, get things set up. We've been talking over the break, or more like I've been talking and telling him I want to do this. I've been hey, I want to record some of these conversations that we've been having. So I was really excited hey, we're going to do a video today. We're going to do it. We're going to record it in the morning. We're going to have it up by the afternoon. And I set up, turn on the lights and everything. And I was just getting kind of everything ready to go. And
the carpet flooded.
Exactly.
Yeah. Literally as he was getting set up, I called him in the other room and I was like, dude, the carpet's wet. I don't know what's going on. And that is how we spent the first part of the day. It was essentially trying to vacuum up the pools of water in the carpet. And so great start to the new year.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, thankfully it wasn't literally pooled, but it was wet. The carpet was wet. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's just the kind of thing where I live, sometimes it's been raining a lot. You know, I've been meaning to kind of check on my septic system to make sure everything's okay. And I didn't. I hadn't. I literally had a reminder on my phone.
Yeah. What can go wrong will go wrong.
Exactly.
Just principle 101.
It's I can't overemphasize how excited I was. I was this is the new year.
Yeah.
This is gonna be awesome. We're gonna do a killer video. I had a whole topic in mind, and to kind of have that happen. Nick was there. I was displeased. I was unhappy. There was a lot of cursing. I knew probably that it wasn't. It wasn't just simply the fact that we've had rain and aerial flood warnings. I knew that it had something to do with probably mine not paying as much attention as I could have to, when you have a septic system, unfortunately, it's just not city sewer. You got to pay attention to it once in a while. So this video today, which by the way, we're doing at 6 o'clock at night instead of, when I wanted to do it the first thing. So poor Nick here is a little tired. Yeah. He's done a lot of work today too, which by the way, thank you for helping out with that. Unfortunate that you happen to be here during that, So what this video has turned into is rather than what I originally wanted to talk about, which was hey, starting the new year off and really, it's, doing big things. It's going to be how to turn a shitty situation, pun intended, into a learning experience. Yeah. So I think to kind of kick it off, when you have a failure, it's kind of best laid plans, right? When you've got a failure, it's really, really important, I think, to recognize hey, there's this failure, it's a setback, but I am not going to let it derail a progress, especially when that thing is not a habit, right? This can be in so many other parts of life, right? I could start working out and I could literally injure myself the first day.
There's actually there's a word for it, but it's if you think about it statistically, it's what can go wrong will go wrong. Right. The idea
Murphy's Law. No, is that Murphy's Law? No,
it's Murphy's Law applied to a bigger scale.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's the idea that things will go exactly as you plan is pretty much impossible. Something will go wrong at some point. That's just the way life is.
Right. And the problem is that not oftentimes, but sometimes, these things happening when you're already halfway through a cycle or halfway into whatever, if you're doing a business, you're halfway through building your business out.
You have enough momentum.
Yeah, you got momentum, you can keep going. It's really, really critical to just recognize when you get a failure. This was no doubt this was a failure on my part. I knew that I needed to go check on that. I didn't make it a priority. I just had 2 or 3 weeks where I could have done it. I did a lot of stuff over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I plan on actually spending a lot of my, the new Xbox launch, I plan on spending a lot of my break playing games. I literally probably played 4 total hours in 3 weeks of games. I was planning these big day-long things. And it just didn't happen. I was busy doing a lot of stuff. I was kind of working with Nick on stuff. And I was really excited, to spin this up, to begin it, just start it the first day and have such a failure. This wasn't oh man, I forgot to like pay my water bill or something. Like this is like a big mess. Like if Nick wasn't here, I would still be dealing with this. And it cost me, you know, $800 in the meantime to kind of deal with it. So, but that didn't stop me from like pushing ahead and making this video. Like even though we're tired, Nick probably didn't want to do it, or he did, but he's just like, look, I'm super tired. But like it's important to me to push ahead and do it because I had the plan to do it today. And while, yes, I would rather be on the couch resting right now or maybe working out and then resting and like, you know.
Right.
Like we're here doing it. Like we're doing this, like even if it's not out published today, which is what I was hoping.
Yeah.
At least we're doing it.
And like this morning versus now, like you were way more motivated this morning,
100%,
right? But this is a really good example of why you can't count on motivation. It's not necessarily that you can't sustain motivation. It's just that when shit hits the fan, like you're not going to be motivated to act on your goals because you're gonna have a hard time focusing. If anything, you're like, oh, I have to deal with all these other things, and so you really have to kind of muster up the discipline to just be like, all right, look, like I'm gonna follow through, right? I'm gonna get it done no matter what happens. But it's important that you don't like you can't rely on like motivation alone. And I feel like especially with the New Year's, there's a lot of people who, because it's a new year, it's a new beginning, they have the motivation that comes with the sense of a new beginning, which is really natural. It's like when you first wake up in the day, you're more motivated than you are in the later part of the day. But like I said, like things are going to go wrong.
Right.
And so you need more than just motivation. Like
right.
You need to have, you know, the discipline to follow through one way or another, whether you like it or not. Like something's going to happen.
Life's going to happen.
Life's going to happen.
Yeah. I think Jocko talked about this, Jocko Willing. I know I just got a text. I got a Gary Vee text a few days ago that basically said the same thing. Like the key to like staying motivated is that your motivation on like April 30th needs to be the same as January 4th as it is on September 30th.
Exactly. For anybody who might be familiar with like Stoic philosophy, which is kind of being communicated to the masses now, they're in a way that's like a bit more less theoretical and more practical. That's kind of like the principle in Stoic philosophy is like things are going to go wrong. Right. So you got to kind of prepare for them ahead of time and then focus on what you can control. Right. And so it's better to kind of be like ready for them ahead of time so that when they happen, you're like, yeah, shit, no worries. They actually have a really cool practical strategy, premeditatio malorum, which essentially translates to premeditation of evils. And back then, of course, it was like back then they were fighting for their survival. So it was a bit more necessary than it is today. But you can fight on a small scale like this. Yeah. Like, and of course, we didn't necessarily know this was going to happen. Right. But it's worth every once in a while, kind of, if you have an idea that something might go wrong, just kind of doing a quick visualization in your mind of like, okay, if this goes wrong, what am I going to do? So when it does happen, you're not as thrown off, right? You're not taken off guard.
Jocko calls it, having a backstop? Isn't that what he said? Or
I think
Jocko, right. It's funny. Nick loves the show Vikings, and this just made me think of this. Like, if you can imagine a Viking village that was basically just assuming that it was going to be peaceful and happy forever, and they had no plan in place, they would just be decimated so quickly, right? So you can imagine those like Viking villages were like, listen, what is our plan if another clan comes and just invades our, like, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. Who do we put where? What do we have in place for defenses and stuff like that? And in modern day life, like, that's why I like what you said. It's like, listen, evil shit's going to happen, or like bad shit, right?
It's like negative visualization.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So just, hey, what is my plan? And, you know, I'm probably a little guilty of being a little too conservative with this, but honestly, this is how I live my life. I just didn't know it had a name per se, but I really try to live my life thinking, okay, listen, whether it's this pandemic or the next market crash or my business is could go off a cliff, right? Or some combination of all those things, you know, happening. The pandemic causes the market crash and causes my business to go off a cliff. I try to think about what plan do I have in place. I try to visualize what am I going to do if that's the case? Mm-hmm. What am I going to do to keep a roof over my head?
Right.
What am I going to do? I have responsibilities. I have a family. I've got responsibilities. What am I going to do to keep a roof over my head? Mm-hmm. Right? And so as much as I don't like to have to think about that stuff, I feel like it's my responsibility to do so. There's people who count on me, my family, my employees, people who count on me to have a plan in place.
Right.
And if I was just sitting here pretending like, hey, the world, like I joke with my friend who's so hot on the stock market, he's like, oh, it's like, we're going to be successful forever. The stock market's going up forever. Like, that's not going to happen, right? So I like to joke around about that because that's kind of like how the market is acting right now. Like, it's just like no bad thing is ever going to happen. And clearly we know that's just not the case.
Right. Yeah. Look at COVID-19.
Right.
Like, it's
obvious. How many companies plan for that? Like how many companies had a plan in place for COVID?
Right. Like, nobody. It's like, that's just how it goes.
Exactly.
And whether it's like on that big of a scale or on a more personal level. And so if anything, it's like going into the New Year's, you can have New Year's goals, resolutions. More important than that, you should have like New Year's preparations. Like,
it's not sexy though. It's not sexy.
Yeah, but seriously, like, think about, like, if you think about, look back at your own life, think about how many times things just did go wrong. Like on a it could be on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And think about how much better your life would be if you were just prepared for those things. You wouldn't fall completely off the rails. You might slip, right? But you can easily course correct if you're prepared. People who are more prepared for COVID-19 than those who weren't, you know, who might have had, I mean, I don't know, just more resources, more like having
money, having money in the bank, like running your business with cash in the bank, not spending all of your capital, you know, all the time, like not pulling money out, and spending your capital, right? Having savings as a family, right? That's a way to like anybody who had like a lot of money who like then put $100,000 into savings, right? Let's just say, like some people look at them and say, you're an idiot. Like you can make so much money on that on the stock market. Yeah, that's true. It can be better invested. But guess what? When you get a COVID-19 come along, which granted, it's not all the time, but like maybe it's not $100,000, maybe it's $50,000. But like they say, right, 3 to 6 months, right, of like salary. If you've got that put away, you can weather things.
Which is going to allow you, it's going to give you a better foundation to make better decisions in the future. To stick to your goals in the future. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have that foundation, like you're pretty much fucked.
So at the beginning of this new year, I would invite you, like, look at some of the goals you've maybe set forth for this year, and think about, like you said, Nick, like, how can you plan for failures? You know, how can you try to be ready to kind of keep forging on with your goals in the face of any kind of failure or thing that pops up? Hey, 2020 is over, but like that doesn't mean that 2021 is necessarily going to be a piece of cake.
Like, is anything really that
right? Exactly. like it doesn't feel much different right now. But like, yeah, they may like fix the virus, like they may get that like vaccine in place, but that doesn't mean they're gonna like instantly fix the economy.
Exactly.
And like there's still a lot of people who don't have jobs, and like what's the ripple effect of that, right?
Yeah.
And they're still not like that much better off politically than we were, you know, 6 months ago.
Right.
I think that like look ahead, like think about what can you do. If you've made it this far in one piece with your business, how can you try to ensure that you're still around in 18 months? If you've made it through kind of COVID, what can you do to prepare, but also to learn from the things that you've
done? Yeah, just prepare from ahead of time.
Exactly.
Have plans in place, have contingencies, just be ready for them. If anything, expect them, right? I'm not saying everything that you think could go wrong, but something is going to go wrong, and just expect that and
be ready and have a way to have the mindset in place that's okay that this failure happened, and just be ready to push through it and just continue on your path. Nick and I were talking about like nutrition and like lifting and stuff like this, like exercising, and this is what I said. I was like, hey, you know, obviously improving, progressing is always going to be the goal. But whether it's with your nutrition or with your workout program, you miss a day, you might even miss a week, right? Like some people like go on vacation and like, I didn't work out at all. You know, don't let that failure dictate your path forward. You know, take it and say, hey, listen, that's behind me. I'm going to pick up where I was and push ahead, forge ahead. I'm going to continue on my path. I've taken a step back, but I can still just pick right up where I was. And let me think about next time I go on vacation, what can I put in place to make it easy for me to stick to it?
Absolutely.
Like what was the hang up there, and what can I do? Do I just need to like build my mental fortitude? Do I need to put something in place to make it easier? Do I need to prep all my meals ahead of time? Do I need to write a workout plan every day and a time for when I go on vacation? So these things are things you can do, whether it's nutrition, whether it's fitness or business. You know, these are things you can do to help prepare for the next hiccup and push your way through it.